Hello, sweet souls, and welcome back. I'm Nola. I want to begin by thanking each and every one of you, especially my new subscribers, and those of you who've been joining in on these powerful and growing conversations. Spirit gave me a lot this morning. The downloads were intense, and when they come through, I have to sit with them and shape them into a message, and then deliver them when the time feels right. So today's message is part of one that may be a slightly different rhythm this week. And today's date is Sunday, April the 6th, 2025. Let me state that for the record. I will also be posting more often than usual this week because Spirit has made it clear that timing is important. This message will be followed very shortly by a second video, so if it resonates with you, stay close. There's more coming. So the message today is fear is the new weapon and what Europe needs to know about Trump, Putin, and the real global threat. They say that history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. And what we are seeing now is starting to sound familiar to those who are paying attention. For 3 years, Ukraine has stood firm against Russia, and they have suffered and are paying a very hefty price. And yet, Europe is being flooded with fear, as if Putin's armies are at the gate, or in this case, on the borders. But here's the truth. As Spirit says, if he truly had the power they say he has, Ukraine would have fallen by now. He doesn't. Spirit has said he doesn't. And what we are watching is not an unstoppable force. It's the illusion of one. Meanwhile, Trump met with Putin and continues to meet with Putin in secret without Ukraine's President Zelensky. Now, that isn't diplomacy. That's appeasement in a new suit, and we all know what happens when you try to appease a bully. It was Winston Churchill who once said, and I quote, "You were given the choice between war and dishonor. You chose dishonor, and you will have war. But the war Europe is preparing for may never come. The real war is taking place elsewhere. This is not 1933. This is not 1938. This is 2025. The fear is real. Yes, it certainly is. But the danger is not always where you're being told to look. There will be shortages. Food, fuel, certain goods. That is true. But here's what most don't realize. Europe and many other parts of the world will weather these storms far better than the United States of America. Why, you may be asking? Because when the old world order begins to crack, there will be a pull toward unity here in Europe, and that includes the United Kingdom, who may no longer be part of the European Union, but it is a very big part of Europe. So there will be a unity in Europe, a quiet, steady resilience. And Europeans are resilient because they have been through many battles over many, many centuries and periods of time. But in the United States, it is going to look very different. The actions taken by its own leaders, especially this current administration, will have unintended consequences that ripple far beyond the borders of the US. Donald Trump wanted to make America strong. He wanted to make America great again. But in aligning with autocrats and isolating old allies, he's done something he never imagined, nor could many of my fellow American citizens have ever imagined. He's triggered the very collapse he was trying to control. Spirit says it has backfired. The world will move on, with or without American leadership. And in that shift, Europe will be forced to grow strong, more unified, and more self-reliant. That's what the military vehicles in your streets are about. They will not be about war. It is simply preparation, independence, standing on your own feet. You may not hear this from the media, but Spirit is clear. This is not the end. It is a great reshuffling, a new alignment of power, a new balance. The ones who stay grounded, who stay awake, who stay kind, those will be the ones who thrive in the new rhythm that's coming. So don't give your energy away to fear, because fear is the new weapon. It has been, if you look back since COVID, it's been for some time now. And the truth is the resistance. So we just spoke about fear being used as a weapon and how Europe is being drawn into a pattern of panic that doesn't match the reality on the ground. But if we zoom out even farther, what we see is an even older game being played. One that has shaped our world for centuries. And that, my precious ones, is called divide and rule. From the Roman Empire to the colonial powers of Britain and France, and all the way to Washington, D.C., this strategy has been used to control, to conquer, and to extract. It's not just about politics, stupid as we say. It's about splitting people apart ethnically, economically, and spiritually, so they are easier to control. And Spirit says this strategy is still being used today. It's not a relic. It's a weapon disguised as policy, diplomacy, media, and ideology. The borders of Africa, the conflicts in the Middle East, the fragmentation of Latin America, the broken political system of the United States, all of it has been influenced by this tactic. Because a divided people are easier to manipulate, and a united people are harder to lie to. Let's look at the map. The Middle East, North Africa, Latin America, and parts of Eastern Europe have all been shaped, not by the will of their people, but the external hands drawing lines in the sand. And Trump has literally been drawing lines in the sand very recently. However, Spirit says The divisions in the Middle East were never organic. Spirit says the divisions in the Middle East were never organic. Spirit says they were orchestrated from the Sykes-Picot Agreement to the Balfour Declaration, and even earlier than that. Borders were drawn without consent. Therefore, populations were split. Sunni versus Shia, Arab versus Kurd, Israeli versus Palestine, or the Palestinian people. These were not just tribal or religious conflicts. They were exploited, deepened, and manipulated to serve empires, first European and then American. The Middle East became a chessboard, and the people became pawns. Sad, isn't it? The same happened in Africa with the Congo Conference of 1884, when European powers carved up the continent like it was cake at a banquet, without consulting a single African voice. Wow. In Latin America, the strategy continued, empowering dictators, dividing indigenous groups, and fueling civil wars. And now, in the United States, we see the same blueprint. Race, class, ideology, and religion, all used to create chaos. Because a population in conflict with itself is a population that doesn't ask the bigger questions. Today, many believe the next global war will begin in the Middle East. And with the heartbreak in Gaza, the long-standing conflict in Syria, the unresolved trauma of Iraq, and the regional power struggles, it's easy to see why, right? But Spirit is saying, look again. The pain in the Middle East is real. It is sacred. It must not be ignored. But the next great shift, the one that will reshape the entire global order, is happening between the United States and China. And that tension is rising not because China wants war, but because Trump keeps poking the bear, as we say in America. Now, without this provocation, China may have continued to coexist, to rise through trade, diplomacy, and technology. But now the lines are hardening, all by everything that has been occurring since January the 20th of 2025, within the United States of America. And I know some will ask, Spirit told me that some will ask about China and Taiwan. And so I was instructed with this balanced perspective to bring to you. And I'm not preaching. Please don't think that I'm preaching. I'm simply the messenger. I feel so preachy sometimes. If China doesn't want conflict, then why are they so aggressive about Taiwan? The Spirit told me that that would be the question that would be asked. And that's a fair question, right? And the answer lies in understanding China's mindset, not to justify it, but to see it clearly. China doesn't view Taiwan the way the West does. To China, Taiwan isn't a separate nation. It's not. It's a part of itself that was separated during a time of internal weakness and colonial interference. The The obsession with Taiwan isn't purely military. It's psychological, historical, and symbolic. That doesn't make the tension any less dangerous, says Spirit. But it does mean it's different from America invading countries that never belonged to it in the first place. And while China may posture, it's not just been sending its military around the world to control oil fields, install puppet governments, or destabilize nations. Spiritually, what we're watching, what you are watching, is a battle between national ego and individual sovereignty. Now, we have to look at it with eyes wide open, because the future won't be shaped by who has the loudest opinion. It will be shaped by who has the clearest understanding. America is isolating itself, cutting out old alliances, provoking new rivals, turning inward while demanding global dominance. Spirit says this will not bode and this will not end well, and yet this is not the end. What we are witnessing is not just a conflict. It's the crumbling of an illusion. The world order we've known is collapsing, but from that collapse, new alignments can emerge and will emerge, not based on fear, domination, or control, but on mutual survival, on interdependence, on truth. We have seen the story before in Rome, in Britain, in Berlin, and in Baghdad. But we have not always learned from it. So today, Spirit asks us this: will we allow ourselves to be divided once more? Or will we rise above the oldest trick in the book? Because unity is power, and power, when rooted in peace, is not domination. It is protection. Let the past inform us, but let the future be chosen, not repeated. Divide and rule may be the oldest strategy, but awakening is the newest revolution. And that was the end of that channel session this morning. I do have a follow-up that I will record and post pretty quickly after this goes live, and this should go live tomorrow on Monday, April the 7th. Once again, thank you for being here. Thank you for staying. If you've stayed this long and you found this helpful, insightful, or educational, would you consider sharing? It may help someone that is struggling at the moment to understand what is going on in the world. Would you consider liking and subscribing? Yes, that does help my channel grow. I know I've been called to this. This has been so difficult for me to do. But here I am, trying to be obedient. And until the next time, do take good care of yourself. There is so much going on in the world. So many things are changing so rapidly. Be still and go within. For there within you are the answers that you are seeking. Be kind, because people are dealing with things we know nothing about. And until the next time, do take care, and bye for now.